So the idea for Chefadora came to us in COVID, of course. We were in Sydney at that time, and I was basically missing home food, like food from my mom. And she would send her recipes through WhatsApp, voice notes, photos of handwritten notes. So that's how it started. But now we're also home to the world's first AI cooking assistant that is built right into the recipes.
Is it in kind of a limited state, or like it has everything that it needs to be a full cooking assistant on the web?
No, this is just the first version. So right now you can just chat with it, but in the future you'll also be able to talk to it. So you'll be able to talk to the AI and even personalization of the AI for creators. So they will be able to clone their voice. And when someone is following their recipe and asking the question, it would feel like, or the creator themselves are talking to the person.
You can literally have your mom in the kitchen with you.
Yeah, that would be cool, wouldn't it?
All right, we're back for another episode of the Levels podcast. Today we're chatting with Sanjam Kohli, co-founder and CEO of Chefadora, a cooking platform that's now leveraging AI to give users hyper-personalized recommendations, and a cooking assistant that can help users improvise and change recipes to best fit their tastes, dietary needs, and of course what they happen to have in the pantry that day. We'll discuss how Chefadora came to be, its growth trajectory, and how they plan to keep scaling the platform to engage and retain more users. Welcome, Sanjam.
Thanks, Jason. Really glad to be here.
So to get started, do you want to give us just an overview of Chefadora, the platform? Like, what is the platform? How does it work? And what makes it unique and different from other cooking sites on the web?
Well, Chefadora started as a recipe sharing platform where creators can publish and monetize their recipes without the hassles of a traditional blog. So there's, you don't need to worry about any of the tech complexities of setting up a blog, setting up analytics, the design, the UX, and everything. So we get rid of all of that so the recipe creators can focus on what they love doing, and that is, creating and sharing their recipes. So that's Chefadora. That's how it started. But now we're also home to the world's first AI cooking assistant that is built right into the recipes. So, when you're following a recipe and you realize, you ran out of soy sauce or milk or something, and you frantically start Googling, I'm making this, what do I do? And then Google would probably give you some off-topic recommendations that you can't be sure of. But with Chefadora AI, it knows what recipe you're following, what step you're on, and it'll give you very recipe-specific instant answers. So you don't have to worry about any of that. So that's the product side of it. But our broader mission is to bridge cultures through food. We really believe that, food is more than just sustenance. It's a great way to connect with people from different cultures, different countries even. So we want to make it as easy, and accessible and inclusive for people around the world to share their recipes and culture.
Are there some specific things you do in kind of the design of the platform to encourage more of that kind of cultural angle versus other cooking sites?
Well, we try to welcome creators from all over the world. There's no restriction on what type of food or what cuisine their recipes they share from. So we have over 10,000 recipes now from about 100 cuisines. And we have made the platform so that it's discoverable in all of the countries. So I think in the last few months, we have welcomed users from about 180 countries in the world. And our future plans include going multilingual. So soon we'll be supporting about 80 languages, going closer towards that mission of accessibility and inclusivity.
So with the multi-language, it would be, you could put a recipe up in any language from anywhere in the world, and anyone else can see that in their native language. So it's basically like same pool of recipes for everyone, but translated to whatever language you want, basically.
Yes, exactly. So surprisingly, 50% of the internet is in English. So if you don't speak English, you are actually missing out on a lot of opportunity and content. But we don't want that to be, a barrier. So we want to break that barrier down. And like you said, like, yes, anybody could upload a recipe in, let's say, Spanish, and someone in Japan could read it in their native language. So this way, like cultural exchange is so much easier. You can experience authentic recipes from different places. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
That's a great idea.
Let's go to the founding story. So when did you start Chefadora, and like when, how, and why? Basically.
So the idea for Chefadora came to us in COVID, of course. So me and my husband, who's also the other co-founder, like everybody else in the world, we were stuck in our apartments. We were in Sydney at that time, and I was basically missing home food, like food from my mom. And I'm a terrible cook. People usually think that, since I'm the founder of a cooking platform, like I would know how to cook. I don't know how to cook. I just love eating food. So at that time, I would just call my mom and ask for like very basic, comfort food and recipes from home. Just very basic things like, how do I make fried rice or this lentils or whatever. And she would send her recipes through WhatsApp, voice notes, photos of handwritten notes. So she has a binder full of like handwritten recipes that she has curated from, her own grandma even. So she would send that across, and I would follow the recipe. I hated the process of following that recipe because sometimes I could not understand what she was saying. If it's a voice note, I had to go back and forth and everything. But the food always turned out great. So we're like, hey mom, like you should do something about this. Like you have a real talent. And she's always been a stay-at-home mom. So she's never really explored having a career outside of that. So like, you know what? We are a couple of techies. We'll just set up a blog for you. And, how hard could it be? And boy, we were wrong. We looked into, WordPress and stuff and realized like that technology is still stuck in the early 2000s, right? It's archaic, and we were both struggling to figure out like, where do we start? There's so many things. And even if we do set it for mom, there is no way that she's going to be able to keep up, and we'd end up doing most of the stuff for her, and we did not want to do that. So we're like, okay, maybe you can use, other recipe sharing platforms. There are a few, and they're pretty decent as well. And she started using them. But after a few weeks, she realized like she did not enjoy it because there was virtually no return for her. So she would spend hours, editing the recipe, taking photos, doing the videos, and putting in so much hard work for one recipe. She would post it, and then, yes, she would get the likes or whatnot, but what now? So we thought, oh, like, this is a thing, like this, she's treating it as a full-time job, but it's not giving any return, even financially. So we spoke with a few other creators and, home cooks who were trying to get into the space. And we realized like this is a huge gap in the market. So we decided to build Chefadora basically to plug that gap.
So the creators could see a return basically from their cooking content.
Yes. So the idea is, because it's a lot of hard work, and they are putting in all the love and passion into creating these recipes for everyone. I think we should be compensating them like we would for any other artist or person.
Yep. Cool. So when was this, and are you guys full time on it or working on it as a side project, or what's the status of Chefadora?
So we got the idea in 2020, but we started working full time on it in 2023. So
Okay.
we both quit our jobs and went headfirst into it. But that did not come out as an impulsive decision. We actually prepared for it financially, just because we wanted to have that financial runway where, we can forget about everything else and really focus on this and give it the time it deserves.
Awesome. So let's go over kind of the first, like once you launched the platform, those initial periods of growth, how did you get the first traffic to the site? How did you get the initial creators? Because I know it's difficult with the two-sided marketplace, right? You need to have creators sharing recipes, and then you have to make sure that you have enough people coming in to look at those recipes and clicking
Yes.
ads, right? So that there can be some ad revenue. So how did that go in the early stages?
It was tough. It was very tough. And you're right. With a two-sided marketplace, it's a chicken and egg problem. But for us, like Chefadora was always creator first. That's how we designed it. So my mom, not surprisingly, was the first first user on Chefadora. We actually had her putting recipes through the backend. So we did not even have like an input form for her in the very early days. So as she started posting recipes, we, started getting trickle of traffic, but there were so many things that we had to figure out ourselves as well. How the SEO works, how we can optimize it, what can we do, and even like what to include in the recipes to make sure that it's complete and people like it. It took us the longest time to get the second creator on board. Like I remember I would check Chefadora like first thing in the morning on my phone to see if, other people, somehow miraculously found us. And I think the first 10 creators were just people we knew personally. So in our personal circles, and, word of mouth, mom's friends, our relatives, friends of friends, and people like that. I think it was probably 8-9 months after we had made the first recipe live, that somebody from Nigeria found us. And it was incredible. We saw a new recipe from a new creator and we just lost our mind. We were like, oh my God, this is the beginning. But what we didn't realize, like that was hard to replicate. And we were still trying to figure out, like what's the best way to sell the idea or to convince people to use this, because anyone who's promising money unfortunately comes off as a scam.
Right.
Yeah.
So there were multiple steps to it, like finding the right fit, finding the right people who we want to have on board, telling them what the platform is. And it was, of course, very in its infancy at that time as well. So selling the vision to them was a whole thing as well. But eventually we got better at, what to say, how to say it, when to say it, and things started getting better. And in the last few months, we've had over 100,000 monthly active users, a few hundred creators, and it's been going great.
So how in that earlier period, those 8 to 9 months or a year where you were struggling a bit to get creators, were you mostly like waiting for the creators to find the site, or were you actively contacting lots of creators and like, Instagrammers maybe, or different people, and sending them emails or DMs to try to kind of bring them to the platform? What was your strategy there?
We tried all sorts of things. So in the very beginning, naively, we were like, oh, people would just find us. We'll just put it out there and we'll just get famous overnight and, we'll have hundreds of creators. But that unfortunately did not work. So our early day strategy was to find bigger creators on social media, those who have a significant following, because they are trying to make a career out of this and they're taking it pretty seriously. So we would reach out to them. At first, we would just, naively do the sales pitch and freak them out and scare them away, and did not get any conversions. But now we kind of build a relationship with them first. We make sure that they are a good fit for the platform as well, like they're culturally aligned. So there's that. We often send out cold emails to bigger creators. We invite them for sort of like an interview or getting to know them call. And if we find that they could benefit from Chefadora and it'd be a good fit for us, we extend the invitation to them to come on board as a creator. We also tried Google Ads very briefly, just to test out the waters. We got lots of creators from that, but then we realized, like at that time, the platform was not quite ready to host them. So we gave it a pause, but I think we'll be getting back to it soon.
Were those creators that you got from Google Ads, did they actually come and post like recipes, or did they just kind of make an account and then go away? Because in my experience, sometimes with Google Ads, it like looks like it's working, but then you dig in deeper into what those users actually do, and it's like they're not really
Yeah.
engaged or retained users. So in your case, were they actually like fairly retained and like real users?
Yes, I would say about 50% of them were retained
Okay,
at
good.
that time.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yes, but as a platform, I think we have grown a lot since that stage. Because we were able to get users and creators, like top of the funnel creators, but then the next part came is the actual like platform retention, which is something that we are actively working on now. So how do we make sure that people stay and continue to use Chefadora? Because the gratification is sort of delayed. It's not, instant. Like it takes some time. So we are trying to make sure that we can provide some instant gratification, make them see the value instantly, and help them grow.
Because with recipe, well, you're talking about on the creator side, right? As far as the retention goes. Yeah.
Yes.
So now, this theme of like having to be careful not to scare away someone that you're hoping to sell to or to like convince to join the platform. That's a common thing that's come up in our conversations with some other founders as well. So you mentioned that in order to kind of get past that, you're not like sales pitching them right away, but trying to build a relationship. Are there any specific like things that you do besides that intro call to just kind of establish an early relationship with the creators?
Well, I like to think of them as friends or partners. So even from the early days, we did not want Chefadora to be, a faceless corporation that people don't trust. So having a one-to-one video call with them, talking to them as friends, it's not a structured call or a sales pitch. It's more like getting to know them, their origin story, and what got them into cooking, what inspires them, what their struggles are, and then genuinely trying to provide them the resources or solve their problems for them. Or if we can't, then guide them in the right direction. So when you treat people as your friends or partners, then it's just easier and so much more natural for them to stay with you, even if the platform is not ready for them, or there are some features that they're looking for that we don't provide yet. They still stay on because they know you and you have that relationship and bond with them. And we keep in touch via emails or social media, and just hyping them up.
Yeah. It's also, I mean, the end user thing is interesting because I think in the recipe and like cooking space in particular, people expect that they can like Google a recipe, they can find a link, they can read the recipe, and then they can quit. And they don't expect to have to make an account. They don't expect to like stick around. Like they're pretty promiscuous. They'll go to one website one day and another website the next. Like, so I'm curious how you combat that. And I know that the AI features are probably a part of that. So I'd love to hear just like how has that looked for you, and what's the strategy at Chefadora for getting those users to not just look at a recipe and then leave, but actually become kind of a recurring user of Chefadora, the platform.
Yeah. So you're right. Yes, when people are Googling, I even myself, I'll probably see 3-4 recipes before I come back. But the idea is to provide such a great user experience to our users that they just feel like, oh, Chefadora is the best place to find and follow the recipe. We want them to stick around, but we don't have any paywalls for them to see the recipe. So the recipes are free to access, and so is the AI. It's the added value that we provide along with the recipe that makes them stay. So they can save the recipes, they can create collections onto the platform. There's no weird ads popping up, there's no endless backstories. They can just get straight to the recipe. And with the inclusion of the AI, it's just so much easier to make them feel like this is the best place that they can follow a recipe through. So I feel it's just about making sure that their experience is so amazing that if they go back to another website or platform, they'll be like, nah, I can't do this. I have to go back to Chefadora and find a recipe there.
So you mentioned the AI assistant being free. How does that work financially? Because I know like AI is getting cheaper and cheaper, but still not, it's not free. So how do you manage that?
Well, we do have some limitations. So there are 20 free messages that you can send in a day. You're right, it's getting cheaper. With how it's supported is we do have some ads in the cooking mode. That's where you can access the AI from. That's how we support the creators as well. So all the revenue that is generated from a user cooking their recipes from the cooking mode is also shared with them. So it kind of benefits the creator, and it helps us keep the platform free for the users as well.
Got it. Yeah, because I was thinking that the AI assistant would probably be the right place to incentivize someone to sign up. Where it's like you let them send some free messages and stuff. Maybe they hit that limit of 20 messages, and they have one more question that they really wanted to ask about whether they can substitute,
Yes.
milk for soy milk or whatever. And they're gonna ask the question, and then they get hit with the hey, like just quickly click the sign in with Google button or whatever to give us your email address, and then you can ask that last question. Maybe they get another 30 questions before if there was a paid plan or something. But I guess if you have no plans for a paid plan, then it would just be sign up and you can extend your max messages from 20 to 50 or something along those lines.
Yeah, no, we do plan to have a subscription for power users, but we just want to give people a taste of it before we ask for money. But the plan for the subscription not only includes the recipe AI help, but we plan to expand into personalized recommendations, personalized meal prep, like I mentioned, like notifications based on weather or what's in your pantry and stuff like that. So that would probably be part of the subscription for power users.
Is it in kind of a limited state, or do you think it's pretty much like where it needs to be? Like it has everything that it needs to be a full kind of cooking assistant on the web?
Oh, no, this is just the first version. So right now you can just chat with it. But in the future, very soon, you'd be able to send it photos and, like, are my onions brown enough, or is the sauce thick enough? And it can just answer that. Soon you'll also be able to talk to it because, nobody likes to touch their phone if their hands are messy. So you'll be able to talk to them, talk to the AI, and also the multilingual capabilities would extend to that. So you don't need to know English to use the AI capabilities. You can just talk to it in any language. And then, like I said, that extends to meal planning, personalized recommendation for recipes, and even personalization of the AI for creators. So they will be able to clone their voice. And when someone is following their recipe and asking the question, it would feel like, or the creator themselves are talking to the person. So it enhances the experience.
That's
and literally
really cool.
have your mom in the kitchen with you.
Yeah. That would be
Might not
cool,
want
wouldn't
that,
it?
Yeah, that's great. I wonder these creators, like, do they see a big value in that and being able to tell their audience, because the creators obviously are making money off of this, so in a way that they can tell their audience, hey, if you really like my content, you don't just need to watch my videos on Instagram or whatever where I have prepared these recipes, but also like if you use Chefadora, like this version of me can help you improvise and like make kind of different versions of the recipes that I've made and so on. So it sounds like something they would be excited about. Have you like worked with creators on this already, and kind of like have you gauged their reaction to it so far?
Yes, the reaction has been pretty positive. They're very excited, but it's still like in a pre-pilot stage at the moment. We're still testing it out, too many nuances. But it's a really good thing because that it helps them connect with their audience in a better way. Not everybody likes to follow recipes from videos, right? Like there's a lot of, like personally, I don't like it. There's a lot of going back and forth. You have to seek it to the right moment, pause it,
Right.
and then you have to repeat it. So it's, for me personally, it's just easier to follow a written recipe. But we want to provide, a complete experience. So when you see a recipe on Chefadora, you have the written steps. You can do step by step in the cooking mode now. But you also, if the creator has uploaded a video, you can see the video in the platform as well.
So when it comes to getting the actual end users, are you still are you focused only on SEO, or do you do any other things as far as, I don't know, like influencer stuff on TikTok or whatever? Or is it just like you have the creators that do their own, obviously, marketing that points people to Chefadora, and then you have the SEO recipes? Is that it?
Yes, precisely. So SEO is a big thing for us, but since Chefadora is designed in a way that creators are incentivized to promote their own recipes, so it just kind
Right.
of creates a really good flywheel.
Yep. I wonder after the growth a bit of the cooking assistant and stuff, I think that could make for some really interesting like influencer type content, where it's like, you're even in other languages, because like you could have someone in some country somewhere, right? They're looking at a recipe, it's been translated into their language, but maybe some ingredient like they don't really recognize because it's from the other side of the globe. So like, they ask the AI like, what is this weird ingredient in this recipe? And the AI is like, oh, this is something that's not so commonly found where you are, but you can easily substitute it for, X, Y, Z. So I think that could make for some cool advertisements. Do you think you'd consider doing kind
Yes.
of general app like marketing through influencers?
Yes. So the idea is we'll probably go with creators that we have on board, those who already believe in the Chefadora mission, those who are already using it. So it's just easier for them to, to sell it forward, I guess.
Yeah, so you wouldn't even have to look for any new content creators because you already have them, right? They're already the
Yes.
recipe creators that are on the platform. Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
I have one more thing on the AI actually that just came to mind. You mentioned like asking, are my onions brown enough? But the recipe might say cook for a few minutes until they're translucent or they're kind of a little bit brown. But is the context for the AI just coming from the recipe, or is it coming from people that have asked that question that have cooked it before as well? So then you can say like, oh, compared to other people, this is kind of about right, but also it matches the recipe as well.
Yes, so both. So it learns on its own as well. Like you said, it sees what other people would have, if they have asked the same question in the same recipe. So it does that as well, and it's also, in the context of the recipe itself as well.
Yeah, that's
if
great.
it's a pretty standard thing, so I think that's easier to do.
Yeah, that's really cool.
The mobile app, I forgot to ask a bit more about that. So when did you start developing the mobile app, and do you see that being kind of the future of the platform? Is like the web is basically just to drive people to the app because that's where you can really retain them and have kind of the better experience with the AI assistant and everything? How do you look at the mobile app?
Yes, so the mobile app is our next big focus. It needs to be at parity with the web. So you're right. So because when someone is looking for a recipe, you usually just Google it. So that's how we get people onto Chefadora, and then the app would play a major role in retaining them. And you have more capabilities when you have the app. So it's just easier for, let's say, meal planning or recommendation or notifications like, oh, it's raining in where you live. You might like this at this point in time. So that would really help. But like I said, that's the next big focus for us, and that would really help in the retention as well.
Got it. So looking out for the future, what are the big things that you guys will be working on? I know you need to still refine the cooking assistant and bring it to the mobile app, but are there any other big like longer term things that you're kind of looking forward to doing with Chefadora?
So after the AI assistant, I think multilingual is a big thing for us. We really want the platform to be as accessible as possible. But the idea for Chefadora is that we really want to help creators or, anyone who's trying to set up their food business or anything. So create like opportunities for people, not just in wealthy countries but even people who are marginalized. I really wish to work with refugees because it's a great Chefadora could be a great way for them to first make some money, but also a great way for them to share their culture. It's a new country, they've had some pretty bad experiences, but they are still mostly connected to their culture, and it's a great way to educate people as well. There's that, and we also would be hosting our first ever physical event as well. We don't want to be just limited to the web. So we're in talks with our local council to host a very big multicultural food fest. So like hundreds of food trucks from different cuisines where people can come together with their friends and families and experience, taste of the world.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really cool.
That's great.
As far as the cultural side of things, I wonder then if the app, if you're successful with the app, if you can get it to grow, you can get people to install the app. Is there a world where part of the app can be like a way to explore the cuisines of different cultures? Like maybe I come in and I say like I'm interested in exploring like Japanese cuisine or something, right? And the app kind of takes me down a path of like, here is like a path of different Japanese recipes, maybe from easiest to more difficult, and I can kind of follow the progression almost like, Duolingo or something where you're learning a language, but I'm like learning Japanese cuisine and I'm going through and like, actually going recipe by recipe and like moving along that path. Is there a world where you use something like that to emphasize that kind of multicultural nature of Chefadora for users?
Yeah, I think what you just said is actually an excellent idea. Like we do want users to explore different cuisines. We like on our homepage and even in our recommendations right now, we try to show them all the different cuisines that we have from creators from around the world. But I think this way, like you said, Duolingo, but for recipes would be a pretty neat idea. Just starting from techniques to advanced recipes, and then I don't know, probably more food related stories. I think that would be awesome. Thanks for the idea.
Yeah, of course. I mean, me and
It's free.
Charlie, it's free. We spend all day thinking about gamification, obviously. So we think now
Yeah.
every time I look at an app, I'm like, what are some ways that it could be kind of guided or like gamified in these little ways? So yeah, it's interesting. It stood out as an interesting thing. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like to go over?
I think it was pretty comprehensive.
Cool. I think that we can wrap it up then. That was a really nice conversation.
Thank you. You guys made it really easy.
All right. That's a wrap.